Okay, and now we're going to ask the kids what they learned on this trip. So what were some of the things you learned?
One thing I learned was, well, we went to a museum, which was all about the town and the area around it, especially the reservation as a whole. And one of my favorite exhibits they had was the, what was it? Winter Count, which was basically a large piece of fabric, which every year the chief of a tribe would write the most important thing that happened that year. So you were able to see when everything happened. So they had, Halley's Comet, they had the spread of smallpox, they had all kinds of different things. And it was really interesting to see just how old it was. It was, I think, 113 years. And we had a written transcript, which was really interesting.
The last day, we went to Crazy Horse, which was a monument in a mountain of a war leader of the Lakota tribe that was honoring him because of his leading of battles throughout battles and his sacrifice, giving himself up to save his tribe.
While we were at Crazy Horse, we sat in on a Native American. He was singing and just talking a lot about the history of their music, and I learned a lot about that. I think we all did, and it was really interesting to hear different stories about how music adds to their tribe.
Yeah. One thing I learned from the trip was that, even kids from different backgrounds, like the kids in South Dakota, given the right circumstances, like the big slide and all their friends, they still act like normal kids from any part of the world.
And I just wanted to highlight what a difference we make in these kids' lives. I was a chaperone this year, which was super fun because I was kind of more of a floater, and I took a lot of pictures of our youth helping out. And I really saw all of the different areas where these kids are getting attention. Mother Ellen and Father Kurt put an ear to the ground and was asked the community what they could use. And what they said was that they wanted more summer activities for the kids. And so they used their house, their backyard. We called it the playground because it has all these sorts of fun things in it. But they offered their space as a resource to the community. And we're really supporting that by going in and being counselors because they could not make that camp happen without the amount of support and volunteers that they get each year. So seeing our youth and others helping out at this camp, and especially all of you guys with your donations, it really makes a difference in these kids' lives. Because especially one really valuable experience that we all went on this trip is Mother Ellen has a bus to go and pick up kids whose parents cannot drop them off. And riding the bus and going and seeing actually where these kids are coming from, where they live, what their home situation is like, it's both heartbreaking and such a good experience for all of us to just see. Because these kids, I love every single one of them. But when you spend 4 days nonstop with them, they can test your patience. They really do. And sometimes I always see Elizabeth with a kid attached to her hip and on her back, and being all around her, there's always these kids who just want that really close attention. And when you go and you see where they're coming from, you really understand where that's coming from, right? You see the broken fences. You see the houses where Mother Ellen has to go and check inside to make sure that someone is there for them. And when you get to see that, when you get to see the level of poverty in those areas, you really feel this sense of pride in the work that you do at this camp. So, thank you so much for all of the support you've given us to support those kids.
Just to finish off, I don't think this got mentioned a little bit earlier, just a little bit of a insight as to what we do at the Horse and Pony Camp. We run a lot of games, but the main goal of the Horse and Pony Camp is both to provide a space for the kids to be during the summer while their parents are working, but also to help reconnect the Lakota people with the horses that their tribe is so historically entwined with, and going through the reservation process kind of started to separate them from the horses that they would literally call their family, their cousin, their brother, their sister. And so the Horse and Pony Camp is to try to, especially with kids, re-knit that relationship with all the kids. And just to reiterate what Evie said, thank you guys so much for all your support. It is a lot of fun and it's a lot of work. And we're so happy that we have such a community to support and give us the opportunity to go and help out in the greater community.
Do you guys have any questions or things you'd like to ask the kids about or us about this trip or about anything you're curious about?
I'll run the microphone around.
I got another mic here.
Great. That works too.
I was wondering if, this is your second year there. Did any of the kids or animals remember you from last year?
Would any of the youth like to answer that?
A lot of the kids recognized us, and really, Mother Ellen and Father Kurt really emphasized that they love having new groups volunteer there, but having a consistent group come like at least 1 week out of the 4 is really important to the kids to have a familiar face to look forward to each year. And yeah, they definitely remember us, and they definitely like having the same people each year.
I just wanted to reiterate, these kids have so many things in their lives that change. It's constantly like new things and new environments, and it's really kind of disorienting for them. So when we have groups like us who come more consistently, at least like for 1 week of the year, they really appreciate it. Any other questions?
Oh, one thing I wanted to say was sort of fun as my first year versus all of these people who came last year was it was really cool seeing like how they already knew the lay of the land and who the people were. Like one thing, we had this little orientation at the beginning and Mother Ellen gave us the rundown on a few kids who like might need a little extra attention, or like it's like, okay, this kid is going to cry and tell you they're hurt, and like make sure they're not hurt, but like they're probably not hurt, and things like that. And it was really cool to see like these kids are like, oh yeah, that's Pearl. We know Pearl. Like, and being able to like already love on these kids, and like what took me a few days to be like, oh, I know this kid and how they want to be treated and things like that. They already were able to like jump right in off the bat.
So, and some of these kids too will just run up to you, and we hadn't been there in a year, and just like to be clear, there's probably around 70 or 80 kids on up, maybe even up to 100 on some of the days, and to have we're coming back after a year and 10 or 11 kids run up and are like, oh, I remember you, is very heartwarming. And as Mother Ellen also said during the orientation, the main goal of this is just to love the kids, to just shower them in love, because sometimes it can be a hard life out there, and to have a consistent place where they can go and be loved is kind of the end goal. And they evidently really appreciate that, as they're like, oh my gosh, it's the people that loved us.
So I noticed there's some kid with the binoculars that you just showed. I was wondering, did you talk to them about the birds? Did you guys sit down with them and eat meals and have conversations and talk about their traditions?
Yeah, so we had lunch with them every day. Usually we would be serving lunch, and then we'd grab a plate ourselves and go sit with the kids and just talk about anything they wanted to talk about. The binoculars, I learned last year that the kids really loved playing guitar, looking through my binoculars that I was bringing to look at birds, and playing with my camera. So, in fact, I'd say most of the pictures on this, in these, especially a lot of the close-ups, are pictures taken by some of the campers because they just wanted to play with things. And yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how many kids are there that that come to the camp every day?
I would say typically 80 to 100 at the camp, but we break them into groups. So we have them split into groups of about 15 to 20, somewhere around there, and they go to different areas. For instance, one of them goes to the barn where they're with, some of the horses and stalls and the goats. Some of them go to the arena where they actually ride the horses. Some of them go to cowboy games, which turned into music time because Cameron and there was another guy there also with a guitar, so they had a lot of music time going on, and art and playground. So we had a lot of different areas for the kids to rotate between, but it is a lot of campers.
So I've got another question. Is it just your group that is there, or are there other groups from other churches or wherever or people that are there?
Yeah, there were other groups. So there was a group from Illinois that we actually stayed in the house we were staying at with, and then there was some groups from somewhere else, Kansas, and so there was 4 groups total, I think. And so we were all helping out in like different areas. Like one group did art most of the time. We were mostly like in the barn and on the playground, I think, and music, of course.
So you were able to meet a lot of people from other areas. That always is fun, makes it fun.
Yeah, people come from all over the country to help these kids, which is really heartwarming to see. I mean, I think we're usually the furthest group. However, as Marion said, there's groups from Kansas, from Chicago, from, what was it? Huh? Oh yeah, there's one from Texas, I believe. Illinois is Chicago.
Lots of different places.
Hey guys, do you want to go again, and why?
Yes, yes. Yes, we definitely want to go. Yes. Yes, we definitely. I personally really want to go again. I want to go as many times as I can. Why? Because it's awesome to help these kids. It's an amazing experience. We get to see also there's like the natural beauty of the area. It's just really nice to be there.
Definitely, I would want to go again. There's just so many different things as a counselor you can do to help these kids, and different things you can volunteer to do. And I want to kind of get the full scope of this camp and kind of just connect with the kids in as many ways as I can.
Yeah, I agree with all of them. I think that it was very eye-opening. Every time we go, we learn something new, and we meet new kids, and we strengthen relationships with old kids, and it's really fun, and it's also really sad because you hear a lot of stories about their life that you don't really have much control over, but you do have control over how their day can go, and you can help them and put a smile on their face for those 8 hours.
Yes, I would like to go again. Not just for the kids. The kids were really fun, and I definitely would like to hang out with them again, but also just to understand where the base of South Dakota comes from, and explore a little more, to learn more about where the kids come from and how they do stuff around there, and their culture.
And just to reiterate too, is the consistency that's so emphasized, and how helpful it is to the program that they run to have groups time and time again, to see familiar faces, and to and just have something more consistent in their life that you can kind of count on. I think the fact that we've been able to start that cycle with our group is really nice, and I think Annalise and I both get messages from Mother Ellen throughout the year saying, "Oh, you guys come in again? We'd love to have you. We'd really like you there." So that also that feeling of we're also wanted there as much as we want to go is also a big part of that.
Yeah, I was also very impressed with like the work the kids put in and everything. We had some high expectations for them where we wanted them like the day would be done and the volunteers would be starting to leave and we're like, okay, everyone, time to clean up trash and things like that. They had these terrible styrofoam cups one day, so there was like little pieces of styrofoam everywhere, and so like we stayed for probably like an hour or two after a lot of people had left just to like clean it up and get it ready for the next day, and stay with the straggler kids who hadn't gotten picked up yet. And so it's so great to see like the work that people had done or were able to put in and how much you can like commit to it.
We got another question here.
Well, firstly, just to say thank you for your service, and it's really humbling and inspiring to hear your feedback. And I think what strikes me is as you touch their lives have touched you. And I think that's the joy of serving others. And then I have a question in terms of the rest of the year. Who takes care of them? I assume they're going to school, but those other needs are ongoing. So if you have any knowledge of the rest of their...
One thing that really impressed me is that, Father Kurt and Mother Ellen moved to this parish in the pandemic. And one thing that's really impressed me was like how in touch with the community they were and how much they know these families and know what's going on. So like they know like which kids like get sent home with so there's like free reign of snacks during this camp. Like as soon as they come in, the first thing they do is grab snacks and go. And throughout the day there's free reign, as many snacks as you want. Stuff them in your pockets, take them home. And like they know like which kids like get a bag full of snacks that they take home and things like that. And so they were saying that like people will come to them and be like, hey, like this month like things are really tight, like can you help us out? There's also a food pantry that the church runs that they help them out with. And so things like that really impressed me, like the way that they've been involved in the community.
Yeah. Throughout the year, yes, there's school. School is a big part of that. It's a very matriarchal type of society. There's a lot of elderly women who are really the backbone of trying to keep everybody together in the society there. But at the same time, oftentimes there's not really anybody. And so you'll see it, especially in the kids, where it's like, here's an 8-year-old who says, well, I've got to take care of my little brother and my little sister. And it's like, well, who's taking care of you? And so a lot of that shows up, and you can ask any of the kids, they offer that information very freely. They'll be like, oh, I have to get home so I can take care of my baby brother. So it does, pull on the heartstrings to see, these kids in this situation where they have to basically fight for their lives. And, they're just trying to make it by.
We have another question here.
So I was under the impression that the kids stayed overnight. So you answered a lot of my question in that. But where did you stay? And were you interior decorating the whole time you were there, saying, you would put this over here, and if I lived here, I would have that over there?
Well, I can share a little bit. We stay in a house. It's kind of like it's like a retreat center that's owned by a Baptist church. So we go and we can stay there while volunteering. It's humongous. Like it has probably 12 rooms. Something like 12 rooms. It sleeps like 60 people or so, and they have like bunk beds and stuff that you can stay in. And the area around it is just gorgeous. There's like not another house for probably miles. And like we went on a hike one of the days, like a 3-hour hike or something like that. And we didn't encounter anybody or anything for the whole hike. I also got myself into a habit of waking up near sunrise and watching that, the whole sky just gets gorgeous. Exactly. Team Sunrise, Cameron gets it. And so, it's a beautiful location. It's about half an hour from the camp, from Father Kurt and Mother Ellen's house. But yeah, no, it's just a really nice place to stay.
Yeah, it was fun this year. We had, well, it was too bad, but it was cold this year. It was very weird weather. It was super duper hot the first day, and then it was sort of cold and rainy the rest of the day. So they unfortunately had to cancel one of the days of camp we were supposed to help out with this year because it was too cold. Because the children wouldn't come in like appropriate clothes for the weather. So like the day before, we were like having kids run in circles and stuff because they're there in their like tank tops and it's freezing to death. So we had to cancel it that day, unfortunately, but we got to go on like a hike and see the area around it. It's quite beautiful.
So SJ mentioned that they taught you a lot too, probably. And I'm curious to know if you can can you tell me something that they might have taught you? Like, did they have any traditional stories that they tell, oral storytelling, or any kind of special food that you might have shared with them, or something that resonated with you that you learned from them?
There wasn't any specific food, but we were told about, again, Cameron kind of touched on it, but the belief that everything is like a relative. Every living thing is kind of a relative. So you would refer to the birds, the horses, even the trees, right, and the leaves as like relatives and part of like your family, like your personal family. So connection and relationships were just super important in their lives. Is there anything that you guys specifically to the culture?
Unfortunately, a lot of the culture has kind of been lost, especially since the reservation struggles with a lot of poverty and the education system there isn't great. And but their connection to nature and to animals was very strong, and a lot of the older people in the tribe did really try to communicate that to us and to the kids there. So that was, I think, the main thing that we learned.
Got another question here.
Thank you very much. Mine is a word of encouragement. You guys, you go very far. Because of going out for the sake of Christ, guarantee your lives will never be the same. And I tell you, you are the future of our church. And God bless you.
Thank you so much for listening. And okay, Robin.
Last question.
The deacon does the dismissal. She's got the last word. So in housing, you guys have to buy all your own groceries and you do all your own cooking, correct? Yeah, so you're working beyond just Camp Bay.
Yeah, so
It's a
so
team
what
event?
happened this time, so last year was a little bit different because we were the only ones staying in the house, but for this year, because we were working with another group, we alternated who was cooking dinner each night. And so we meal plan beforehand, we make a list of groceries, and we buy it all at a Walmart, which is like a 3-hour drives before we get to the place where we're staying. And so we Tetris everything into the car, all us kids, all the food. And yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can see in one of the slides, there's a picture with like a cooler in the center of the car, and everybody's got food on their lap as we're going around.
Oh yeah. We had Elizabeth literally scrunched on top of soda boxes and stuff. We pack into the car with all of the food, which was actually, with seatbelts, 100%.
With the seatbelts on. Someone doesn't have their seatbelt on. The car is telling me.
It was a fancy car. It had a special light for every single person, so I could see exactly who didn't have their seatbelts on.
So, Yes, definitely seatbelted. But we, so to continue answering the question though, we pack all this food into the car, we take it over to the house, we unload it in the kitchen that is in that house there, and then we alternate nights who's cooking what. I think we cooked, burgers and stuff one night, and a stir fry another night. And the other group did that as well. We had lunch at the camp, and breakfast was we had cereal, we had all sorts of options, and the youth would choose.
One of the things that I enjoyed with that was because, we all shared what the other group would make when we were at the house. And so we kind of exchanged things. Like, they made white chili once, and we made stir fry. And so, yeah, we got to, share a little bit of each other's, state, what's the word? Culture? Staples. Food staples of their state. So, yeah, it was very nice doing that.
I also wanted to mention really quick, I don't know if we've touched on this yet, but along with the group that was staying in the house, we did Compline every night, which is an evening service to kind of wind down for the day, think about what happened. Before that, we also do highs and lows with just our group. But then we did Compline with the other group after dinner, and yeah, that was a really good experience to just kind of wind down. Specifically highlighted in that was a book called Ladder to the Light. I actually saw it in the office, so if you're curious about it, we read excerpts of it every night.
And we also actually brought back a book about the town that was nearby the house, which includes that winter count that AJ was talking about, and the written summary of it, if that's something people are interested in looking at. We wanted to thank you guys so much for all your donations and future donations, potentially, for next year. And
Thank you, youth and youth mentors, for bringing them on the trip. Have a good day.